大家好。
Hello，live 咗啦
，live 咗咯，
睇到咗。咁我收拾下啲資料先。咁你
收拾下啲資料。
quit 下睇邊個？
有邊個離開我？
又好似有人睇咗喎。Hi Brian。
Brian 講佢買零食，佢買零食喺屋企睇我哋。
佢屋企過嚟都好近嘅，就係跟住帶埋零食過嚟度。
Stephanie。
Hello Stephanie。
We have missed everyone for a week. Yeah, today's setting is like, oh, I can actually put it like this slanted, right?
咁樣會睇到啲冇？會唔會反光
？There's this one showing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then you just push this to the side.
Hello Rebecca。仲有邊個？好似
Hi June。我個 friend 啊 June，你今日一定要睇晒呢一個 episode。Hello，you know， 喂，我其實今晚係咪我逼晒我啲同事一定要睇呢個 FB Live， 所以佢哋真係幾聽話。邊一個有睇嘅就邊個有花紅啦嚇。我哋都
所以個老細咁樣逼人㗎啦。
Hi Steph。
Hi, we'll just wait for a moment.
嗱，我哋今日
we can share, all of it has been shared.
Yeah， 咁今日咧，我哋會講一啲關於 depression 啦，就係憂鬱症啦，
係啦。
So 喺八字入邊咧，我哋點樣去睇呢個人有冇可能有憂鬱症嘅呢個跡象嘅喎？
係啊。
咁佢係憂鬱啲咩嘢咧？因為好多時候憂鬱症都分好多種㗎啦。譬如好似關於屋企人啊，或者係啲同事啊，覺得人哋點樣睇佢啊？咁我哋點樣喺八字入邊睇咧？咁我哋有好多方法嘅，咁師傅咧等陣就會解釋㗎啦。
係啦，咁其實咧，除咗我哋點解忽然之間有呢個話題咧，係因為發覺到其實就算唔好話講人哋其他人啦，其實我哋自己有時候工作太忙啦，或者係你自己接觸係咪我哋？係啊，我唔得嘅。
可以大起咗。
OK， 即係發覺到其實我哋自己本身尤其是做工工作或者係啲 family， 其實又發覺到即係最近好似比較多人有咁樣嘅問題。其實我發覺到咧，其實除咗其他人，自己都會有時候會有咁樣嘅問題。
啱啦，因為其實我哋喺生活上邊啦，無論係乜嘢各方面，包括咗工作啦，包括咗家庭啦，我哋朋友啦，甚至係伴侶啦、仔女啦、交學費啦，呢啲全部都係好大嘅一個壓力嚟嘅。
但係其實咧，我發覺到最重要嘅咧就係，其實有好多時候係唔知道自己身邊嘅人或者係自己嘅朋友係有咁樣嘅傾向嘅。
啱啦。
呢一個係最嚴重嘅。
係，所以如果咧你發現得早嘅話咧，可能你仲可以去幫解或者係幫佢，或者係開解佢。咁樣嘅話咧，好多嘢我哋都可以避免到嘅。
係啊。
Okay, a bit of English now.
個師傅係翻譯係英文。
Actually forgotten is like we have to actually speak this in English. And of course, like I think the very first moment that we thought of and decided to actually do a session topic on depression was last Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, because I was with Hui Yi. We are actually doing an Ice Kacang podcast recording, and then she was also telling me that in her life now, she actually encountered people who are having depression or suffering from depression. Okay, and at that moment also we already heard the news of like Spade. If you have all heard about her, where she actually committed suicide last week, and then after we decided to actually talk about depression and to address this topic. On Friday itself, right? Okay, we have another news of another famous celebrity. Okay, also committed suicide, suspected due to depression as well. So I think on Friday is where I actually texted everyone and said that okay, let's confirm we do on next Tuesday. The topic will be depression. And then I know at that time, Wai is still in Taiwan, right?
Correct.
Yeah, he's still enjoying himself in Taiwan with the sister and the mother. So we then said, okay, are you back in time? Okay, on Tuesday. He said, yeah, Tuesday can. Okay, so that's why we decided to actually come up with this episode, which is slowly dedicated to depression. Of course, it's not only a live Facebook live talk about topic. It's more like a tutorial session because today's topic itself, right? The most important part is we want to actually share from a Chinese metaphysics perspective, the Chinese astrology, to see how to identify from a person's chart, including yours and your loved ones, to see the potential of depression, right? What sign or what are the elements that contributes to this potential of depression, and like what are the ways that we can actually overcome it. OK，
咁其實咧，今日師傅咧就會做嘅一樣嘢咧，就係用我哋嘅玄學啦，我哋嘅八字入邊，我去點樣睇一個人到底佢有冇呢個憂鬱症呢個傾向㗎咯喎。咁譬如話佢咁響八字入邊會點樣睇咧？咁我哋都會有關到金木水火土啦。我相信師傅嘅啲父母都已經大概知道金木水火土係啲咩㗎啦。咁我哋都會響呢個五行入邊咧，5個element入邊去 zoom in 去點樣睇呢個 depression 㗎。
係啦，咁其實咧，首先我哋亦都要講解啦，點解其實我哋會用玄學嘅方面去睇啊。其實有好多時候我哋會睇到身邊有啲人係可能會有咁嘅問題，但係其實咧，我哋其實越早發現係會越好。有時候你啲朋友係好緊要開心嘅，但係你唔知道，原來佢係有咁樣嘅傾向。咁其實玄學界嚟講，你睇翻你自己八字，係睇翻自己本身係乜嘢性格嘅人，同埋會點樣傾向到。每一個人都有呢個機會depress 嘅，只不過係睇唔同嘅方面。所以尤其是嗰啲父母啊，要睇翻自己嘅細路哥。
I think it's very very important, especially for children. I mean, I'm a mother of 4, and I honestly trust me when I share with you how to look at depression, and when I look at the charts of my children, like I'll be like, ooh, okay, interesting.
咁師傅頭先同我哋講嘅時候咧，咁我自己都覺得係喎，的確我自己本身有咁樣嘅一個傾向 ，I mean 對乜嘢方面嘅？
係啦，其實好多好似係例如頭先我哋講緊五行有代表唔同嘅嘢嘅，其實即係你嘅 depression 究竟係來自 society 啊，來自你嘅父母啦，或者係你嘅朋友啦，你自己本身啦，即係呢個係最重要嘅咯。
Yeah, and also one more thing is of course before you even continue on listening to our topic itself of how to actually check your astrology chart, right? I hope that all of you have already plotted out your own astrology chart, including your loved ones. If you have not done so, please do it now. Wai Lun will be actually sharing with you how to actually get it done, right? So the first thing is you have to go into soleiltrinity.com.
Okay.
Alright, just go into soleiltrinity.com. I'm sure that very soon someone on the Facebook Live viewers here, like Stephanie or Brian, they will be very efficiently writing on the comments, okay, the website address of soleiltrinity.com. Okay? So click onto that, and then on the top part itself, you see a plot party chart. Click onto that plot party chart, and you will come to a page there. You will see a free party or party pro. Click on the free party because you just need that particular chart itself. It will be good enough for you to learn for tonight. Okay, so when you click on it, you will see that there are certain informations that you have to actually key in. Just key in all the simple informations, okay, and then later on it will guide you to another page where you have to actually fill in your details. It means your name, your date of birth, and your time of birth. So once you have actually key in all the details, make sure it's the right detail, or else you got the wrong chart and you scared yourself out of the wrong chart. Alright? Okay, then you get really, really depressed after that. Okay? So make sure you double check that you have the right details with the time, and then click on the plot. Now, if you do not remember your time or you don't have your time, just leave it blank by putting it at 000 hours. Okay, so then it will appear as an empty pillar itself. Okay, so if you know, it will be good for you to key in the time as well for a more detailed reading.
OK， 咁呢個咧就係你最快呢嘅一個八字啦，咁你就係會可以睇到你嘅八字係咩㗎啦。
Okay, so thank you, Brian. Thank you, Stephanie.
So efficient.
Alright, they're all ready with their snacks and all these things. Okay, so now the first thing is, of course, when we talk about depression, right, it is a very common term that we have heard nowadays. It's like it's so common, and yet it is also like very scary, and also it's like dangerous because you see that it is silently taking off lives, okay, of people that we care, people that we know, and people that we even look up to. We have examples of that, and we have actually plotted out lists of like party examples to show you. When I get you with like how to see the chart itself, right, I also plotted out a list of examples of like celebrities, whether they are alive or dead, Okay, and someone is laughing at my tongue twister. Okay, celebrity. Okay, alright. So stop laughing, Okay, so I do have the charts here with you. So because it's like we need to do case studies as well in order for us to confirm the possibilities of like depression.
其實我自己本身咧都有做一啲 case study 啦。我發現咧，或者係一啲好多 comedian 就係嗰啲講笑㗎，特別佢哋會更有可能性有呢個 depression。係啊。可能響幕前咧，佢係開玩笑啊，或者係令到你好開心。但係佢自己本身係好唔開心。係啊係啊。
And I think that's a very good point because you see one of the ways when you look at the chart itself, right? Okay, when depression is actually like a facade or a phase of life by itself, right? The person always feels that they are very like they are very controlled in the sense that they always need to be their best and the best is not enough. So to them it's like a lot of things in life itself is never enough. It's never up to a satisfactory level where they think that I mean like whatever they have done or they have achieved in life also might not be able to fulfill alright the emptiness or the confusions or the how to say the loss of emotions they have inside them. And there are ways to actually look at this particular perspective from your party standpoint, alright, and which we will share with you now. But the first thing is, what exactly is depression? I'm sure that we and Wai Lun also have done some research on this. So let them share with you first. Is like, what is the general understanding of depression? I mean, to your understanding, what do you find?
咁我自己上網去揾一下啦，就係憂鬱症係到底啲係啲咩？咁第一個咧，通常你會睇到佢嘅情緒係比較低落嘅。咁佢會可能會悶不樂啦，同埋佢唔開心啦，佢會覺得好多嘢都已經係冇咩興趣，佢對好多嘢都失去興趣嘅。因為對我哋嚟講，如果我哋係積極嘅話咧，我哋會覺得哇，呢樣嘢好特別啊，呢樣嘢好靚啊，呢樣嘢好好食啊。但係佢對好多食啊或者係見到嘅嘢都好似冇咩興趣嘅。咁呢個就係其中一個症狀啦。咁of course 佢嘅體重都會突然間減輕或者係加重嘅喎，咁係個人嘅呢個體質啦。咁有啲人咧可能佢突然間唔中意食嘢，或者係唔想食嘢，或者係有啲人係佢好想突然間食好多嘢去滿足佢自己，但係佢又滿足唔到嘅，所以佢嘅體重同埋佢嘅體重會突然間加重或者係減輕嘅，所以呢個都會係有一個可能性嘅。
係啦，咁除咗圍戀就講到呢度咧，咁我本身自己即係我講自己先啦，即係我自己都有經歷過呢個咁樣嘅問題。我發覺到好多時候咧都會可能對自己會有某啲人會對自己嘅要求係特別高嘅，即係我本身會對自己工作上邊嘅表現係特別高嘅。或者係咧，有好多時候如果犯錯咗嗰陣時咧，好中意係怪自己嘅，即係會話係因為我嘅問題，所以令到人哋，或者我可以做得乜嘢係可以更好嘅。咁其實我比較有一個 real life 嘅 example 就係本身I mean 識我嘅人都知道，我有幾個係韓國朋友嘅，係啦。咁我哋唔講佢嘅名啦，因為話佢哋都聽唔明㗎嘛。咁我就自己本身有幾個韓國朋友咧，我發覺到佢哋嘅憂鬱嘅症狀係因為佢哋嘅社會嘅問題啊，即係其實佢自己係有意見嘅，但係因為社會嘅問題嘅關係咧，佢做唔到佢自己咯，佢壓抑緊佢自己嘅，即係好似打個譬如喺韓國嚟講，如果本身自己唔係好靚嘅人啊，會對佢非常之影響大嘅，尤其是係揾唔到工，所以佢打壓到自己嘅自信心啊。所以但係如果一個特別叻嘅人咧，咁個老細就會死掹俾佢做嘢嘅。
靚或者
叻嘅人嚇，呢個掉翻轉頭，即係如果佢太叻啦，人哋會死掹俾佢做嘢，但係咧佢身邊啲朋友咧就會即係會割涉佢嘅，即係會覺得你做嚟都係為咗要討好老細啫咁樣，即係好多呢啲社會嘅問題，所以我發覺到有好多時候抑鬱咧係。佢哋好少去講自己嘅嘢嘅，呢個係其中一個問題，即係佢好少分享佢自己嘅心情嘅。
Okay, so in brief, like whatever Wai Lun and Hui has spoke about in Cantonese, I don't think we have the time to actually translate and elaborate that in English fully. So it will be good if you are also like bilingual. If you understand English and you also understand Cantonese, like you can benefit the most out of our Facebook Live. You can see it, okay? And of course, like depression itself, right? Okay, a lot of times, right? How is it particular factors and all these things, and why do people actually go into depression? Now, in terms of the Chinese astrology itself, right, a person who's prone to have a chance to get into depression itself is actually all branched out from fear. Because for us in Chinese astrology or Bazi or metaphysics, right, okay, we only have the equation of yin and yang. One is love and one is fear. Because of course, when you actually, the base of your emotions, the base of the core of your emotions is all branched out from love itself, right? The ultimate place that you will reach, or the emotions or the feelings that you will reach out, will be joy, will be happiness, like true happiness. Like happy is just like when you laugh and all that, but pure joy itself is when it actually comes out from heart. Okay, it's from within. You don't have to laugh out loud, but you know that it's probably just a small beam, or even like you don't even need to laugh at all. Just a small smile on your face, but you can really show and you can really feel it, that your whole body is tingling in sensation. You feel liberated and you feel good and you feel fulfilled. You know that you are immersed in a sense of gratitude. Nothing can be better from what that you have now. Okay, but another emotion itself, right, it branches out from fear. All right, and the fear is the emotion that when it branches out, right, there's the highest potential that leads us into depression. Because when we look at the chart itself, right, any emotions that branch out from fear itself, right, it always makes a person feels that they are not good enough. It's always never enough. They always feel that whatever they've done or whatever they've achieved, whatever they've gained in their life itself is never enough. So this is the part of our chart itself that we have to pay attention to, okay? Because, you know, especially there are some configurations of the chart itself, right? You have a very high possibilities to be like, you know, like fall between the two categories. It's like a fine line, you are actually at the fence, and you have a very high chance that one moment you are really immersing in true joy, and the next moment you are like, oh my God, what have happened to my life? I feel so empty. Okay? So these are the things, and of course, the first step to understand and to overcome depression is always about awareness. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
好啦，咁樣我哋就做個總結啦，即係比較快嘅翻譯。即係其實 Jessie 解釋咧，有好多時候呢啲所謂嘅情緒有啲波動或者係有啲憂鬱嘅情況咧，都係來自兩個來源嘅，一個就係代表情啦，一個係代表係自己嘅恐懼啊。
對，啱啦，因為咧本身我哋一個人咧就係用陰同陽去組合成㗎。咁我哋嘅陽咧就係我哋嘅愛啦，咁我哋嘅陰咧就係我哋所謂嘅 fear 就係恐懼啦。咁愛如果你往愛呢個方面去行嘅話咧，咁你就會得到 joy 啦，就係開心喜悅啦。咁你生命咧會有好多我哋叫意想不到嘅一啲開心嘅一個情形發生㗎啦。但係如果你係往呢個恐懼去行嘅話咧，咁你就會好大可能會嚟到呢個我哋叫
比較負面啲嘅
負面同埋一個抑鬱嘅呢個情緒㗎啦。點解咧？因為我哋一直覺得如果你越行越恐懼嘅話咧，你就會日日都會覺得自己唔夠好啦，人哋睇唔起我啦。即係你會一味轉牛角尖咯，即係其實你嘅問題都係一樣咯，即係都係響負面嗰方面。所以咧最快嘅方法係咩咧？就一定要聽我哋 FB Live 嘅。 係啦，因為咧，如果你知道咗你自己本身有啲咩問題，或者你嘅朋友、你嘅家人有啲咩問題嘅話咧，點解？因為呢個就係最好嘅 awareness。你知道咗，你了解咗咧，咁你先知道應該點樣去幫佢。
係啦，咁樣 Jessie 嚟分享一下先。
Okay, and of course to be very honest itself, like depression is something inside out. It is something that we feel inside that is reflected from our out on our behavior, our our look, our expressions and all that. So it actually branches from our inner self itself. And because it branches out from the inner self, right, it is also something that is very important for us to be aware of it, so that we ourselves are the only person that can help ourselves to overcome it. Okay. Of course, at the end of the day, when you are someone with diagnosed with depression and all these things, you can see a doctor, you can see a psychiatrist and all that, and they will actually prescribe you with certain dose of drugs or medications and all that. But all these things is just help us, okay, to control our visions towards the outside world itself, so that we will have a calmer self internally in order for us to help us to overcome this. And of course, if we have not gone into a very deep level of depression, I truly believe that we can always try to prevent it ourselves without the help of using drugs and anything which is drug abusive, because at the end of the day it's still chemicals. So I always try to remind ourselves is the moment that we are aware that we have a tendency to cross over to the fear line or to the darkness, the side of the darkness itself, it is the moment that we have to be like, conscious about it and pull ourselves back out. Okay, so the first thing, of course, like how to overcome depression itself, the first thing is realization. By realizing and aware that what is depression, why are we depressed in the first place, what causes it, at least this is a very important and also the first thing that we need to actually like know. And of course the first thing is when we're aware of certain things also, we have to realize that like just like in Chinese we say 知己知彼，百戰百勝. Whenever you need to defeat an enemy, alright, you need to know them well first. Alright, because a lot of people know that depression, yes. But maybe a lot of people don't know that where it actually branches out. Why am I even depressed in the first place? Why do I behave like this, right? Why do I feel so like suppressed or so depressed in the first place? What causes it? So today itself, right, I will actually look into your Bazi chart to see what has the potential to cause your depression. Okay, and we have like a few celebrity charts here that have gone through depression itself. Right? Okay, what are the things that forces them or pushes them towards this age that they always feel that, or they felt that they actually gone into a depression mode. Okay, so that is the first thing. And of course, like most of the time, realization itself, right, you will realize that later on, a lot of time that when you realize when you go into a depression state is, it always branches out from our childhood time. Okay, it always from a childhood memory, something that happened when we were young, even as young as a time where we couldn't even consciously remember it, but it actually inflicted on us subconsciously. It has been pushed down into our subconscious mind, and whenever we're an adult, right, it becomes part of our belief and part of our mental, a burden. Okay, in order for us to actually like to always like push ourselves towards that particular focus. Okay, and of course the second part of like step-by-step guide to how to overcome depression itself is by acceptance. Alright, acceptance itself is of course like stop judging ourselves and also stop judging the people around us. Alright, because you see, right, every time that we will see people are depressed and all these things, right, a lot of times, right, we will just say things as in, I totally understand how you feel, but to be honest itself, right, okay, you will never understand how a person who is deeply depressed feel. Okay, because it's like a million and one things inside their mind that everyone is different. The cause of it is different. So the things is like acceptance itself is like, of course, don't judge yourself and also don't judge the people around you.
Oh, okay? I have a friend from Manila.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi, Joanne.
Alright, so always accept parts of ourselves that we do not like. If you realize after today, okay, there are certain parts in your chart that says that you might actually acted in certain ways because of like certain childhood memories that you have formed or past memories that have formed that made you to react in a certain way. Do not judge it, okay? Embrace it, accept it that it is actually part of yourself, okay? And then after the acceptance level itself is like always forgiving, right? Forgive yourself for behaving such a way, or forgive the people that you think might have like triggered you into such a situation. Because without forgiveness itself, right, okay, our heart will never be open to gratitude, and without gratitude we will never be open to joy. Okay, so the first thing is also very important for us to be able to forgive, right? Now we might not forget, it is okay. Alright, but it is a must for us to be able to forgive. Okay, alright. So this is also another part that it is very important. So these are the 3 steps that we have to always remember. Okay, and then the 4th step is of course after understanding it itself, right? Okay, how to expand that focus, how to look for ways to actually overcome that trigger that has moved us into the depression. So what are we focusing today is of course the realization part. Okay, how to realize what causes us and what are the potential to see charts that has a high potential to go into depression. Yes, okay, translate.
係啦，所以咧就講翻阿 Jessie 頭先講啲咩咧，其實。如果知道自己有憂鬱症，即係發覺到自己有呢個咁樣嘅 tendency 啊，咁其實我哋應該要做啲乜嘢？其實第一樣嘢咧就好似 Jessie 講，我哋一定要反應 realize， 即係你要知道究竟自己嘅問題究竟係出現咗喺邊一方面。嗱，其實我成日都有時候都會同我啲同事講啦，即係壓力啦同抑鬱咧其實一線之差嘅。有時候我哋以為工作令到我好壓力啊，我唔開心，先會好似有憂鬱症嘅成長。咁其實唔係嘅。咁其實除咗 self-realization， 可能大多數都係有可能係你嘅童年嘅關係啦。咁如果係關於童年，因為 because 你可能童年發生一啲好唔開心嘅嘢，或者你做咗某啲嘢，你俾咗人哋否定啊，所以你會反映到自己好唔開心，咁就一直會積脹抑鬱自己由細到大啦。
啱啦，因為你嗰個 感覺咧，或者你嗰個情緒咧已經關響你自己本身嘅心入邊㗎啦。所以你慢慢長大咗之後咧，你嘅潛意識咧就會用咁樣嘅一個方法去對社會啦，或者係對你朋友啦等等之類，你嘅相處就會有問題啦。係啦。咁如果你知道咗，因為點解咧？第一步就係你一定要明白同埋了解你嘅問題係點樣發生啦。咁第二個咧就係你去接受佢。係啦。因為好多時候人哋我哋最大嘅問題唔係乜嘢，係我哋自己冇辦法去接受呢樣嘢啊。所以接受咧係一個必須要去經過一個過程。
其實有好多時候有啲人接受唔到，可能佢太多自己嘅小聲音啦，即係會同我自己講：我唔係咁好啊，係咯，都係我嘅問題。所以其實接受自己有咁樣嘅弱點，其實或者係接受自己唔係一個錯事。
I really like to actually add on some parts of this. You remember what you have translated and what you haven't, right? Because what we actually just said and just mentioned itself, right? It is actually very important that small little things, okay, that we don't realize it becomes a daily thing that over the time itself, right, it will actually be a burden of emotion that will lead us down to depression. Now, what she mentioned is sometimes people will just always blame themselves. It is like my issues and my problem, okay, or it is me. That is actually a small little thing or belief or mentality that we have that have a tendency to push us over time itself to go into the age of depression. And these are the things, if you really Google and research, right, depression happens mostly to women, okay, and slightly lesser to men. Okay, it's not equal. It's that women are more tendency to be more emotional.
They are more sentimental.
They are more sentimental and more emotional. And I've actually remembered because she just reminded me of if I'm not mistaken, it's a TED talk or something like that. Right? Okay, then there's they are actually doing a a research that the difference between male and female. Alright, so when a male, okay, when a man actually does something that they cannot rectify, let's say for instance is they try to fix a certain gadgets or a certain software or whatsoever. If they try to fix it and they try to make it happen and try to do it and again and again, but they fail, at the end of the day, right, they will just speak out and tell probably their bosses or their leaders is something is wrong with this gadget, something is wrong with this software. But the difference is a lot of times, not all the time though, but most of the time you see for women, if you are ladies out there watching this, right, maybe you want to ask yourself, as in sometimes when we try to fix something and when we try to do something, right, instead of saying that and we can't do it and we can't fix it, instead of saying that something is wrong with the gadget or the software, we will actually say something like, something is wrong with me. I mean, there's something wrong with me. I just can't figure this out.
I'm not good enough to do.
Okay. So if you look at that point of view itself, right, from the perspective level, if you always have a self-blame mentality or a self-blame attitude, right, it can be subconscious because it can be so natural that you do it subconsciously day in, day out without even realizing it. But these are the small little things that will add up to that big explosions to happen. So if you find that from today onwards, if anything that you fail to actually, or we fail to actually make it happen, it's never our fault. Okay? Alright? We might not know it now, but we will learn and get it done soon. We can always ask for help, but it's not our fault and it's not that we are not good enough. Okay? Alright? So always remember that is how we see a situation is also very important.
係啦，咁講翻，其實頭先講到呢個，即係你需要接受自己咧，最重要就係要原諒自己咯。
啱，同埋你冇 judge 自己。
係啦。
點解咧？因為when你 judge 自己嘅時候咧，你一直覺得好似我唔夠好啊，人哋覺得我唔靚啊咁樣嘅話咧，咁你呢個嘢咧就會越 grow 越大嘅。
係啦。
咁如果你OK，你真係覺得 OK， 我唔夠好，咁我就去學。或者我唔夠靚，咁我就睇下點樣去化妝變靚。咁呢個咧其實係一個好容易嘅一個 step 嚟嘅。咁你就唔好去 judge 自己。
係啦，到最後即係如果你發現咗自己係向邊度，即係出現咗，你喺八字入邊知道自己邊度 tendency 係比較有憂鬱，知道咗之後咧，我哋再 focus 翻嗰樣嘢啦。
啱啦。OK， 最重要就係愛 forgive yourself and also forgive 原諒。心係啦 ，accept 自己同埋原諒自己，同埋原諒一啲人而對你做錯或者做過一啲嘅嘢嘅。
係啦，咁樣我哋事不宜遲，我哋就講重點啦。
係啦，要去睇。
所以啲人喺我講嘅時候咧，會 be good， 未必你寫啦，好唔好？所以你需要嘅就你出。
係，冇問題。
So we said, of course, when you look at the chart itself, right? Now, those of you who have studied Chinese astrology or Bazi with me or even other masters itself, right? In January, you know that people always talk about this particular chart that says 金水多情局。 Okay, so when you look at your chart, of course your chart comprises of like 4 pillars. You have the year pillar, alright, you have the month pillar, you have the day pillar and hour pillar. Okay, so you have to write in English as well for those who do not. So you just put the year here, month, day and hour. So out of the 4 pillars itself, right, to your extreme right itself, you will see that there's your year pillar. On the second column here will be your month, and this is your day and this is your hour. Now, those of you who have studied Bazi before, right, you have heard of this term, they say 金水多情局, or a metal, water, emotional structure. Okay, so in general, right, okay, if a chart itself comprises of majority is metal and water, okay, so you see that a lot of metal and water in the chart itself, the person has a very high tendency to be highly emotional, all right, and then also they are also has a higher tendency of like going into a depressed mode, okay, so that is like, I mean, maybe most of you or my students have already heard of that, but of course I'm not only sharing on that particular aspect for tonight, all right, because it's like that one is quite common, okay, everyone knows about it. Okay, the other thing that I want to actually share about is, right, okay, besides the metal water emotional structure itself, you also have to see what elements in your chart itself, right, okay, has the highest tendency, okay, of the 10 gods that is like reappearing in the chart. It means that if your chart itself has the highest tendency of like maybe it is full of resource, okay, means that if your chart itself is full of resource, right, now how to see whether a chart is full of resource or not, okay, so when you plot out the chart, right, okay, so your chart will look like this. Now, probably later Wailun will show it nearer to the camera itself, right? Now, this is your natal chart. Now, you just focus at your level here. You just focus on your natal chart, which is your year, month, day, and hour here. Now, you see that on the side here, right, there are small little, little alphabets here, okay, abbreviations, okay, that has been written out on each of the boxes, okay? So, you will see that here, you will see something like EG, something like IR, something, okay, here, down here. Okay, you will see down here, okay, they are on the hidden stem. On the hidden stem part, you will see there are 3 elements, okay. Look at the one at the center, the biggest one, okay, of focus. You will see what is the abbreviation there. Okay, for instance, like, can you please write out the abbreviation? Okay, resource. Now, resource means, right, okay, if you see mostly out of the boxes in your chart here, you will see either it is DR or IR. It means that mostly out of the box here, either you see here, either it's DR or IR, or at the hidden stem, you write one more line here, okay? And the hidden stem there, at the main, it means that here is your hidden stems. You can see them, right? Hidden stems inside here, sometimes you have 1 element, you have 2, or some of you might have 3. All right, focus on the center one. All right, the center one means it's like the biggest element, okay? The one that is the biggest, most obvious, okay? And what is written underneath it. So if you find that your chart or any of your loved one's chart, majority of it is comprises of either DR or IR, this person also has a highest tendency to go into depression. Now, I will explain to you why. Okay, why is it DR and IR? Okay, other than DR and IR, you also get, like, you know, the output structure. Output structure means that, okay, comprises majority of the elements there, okay, are made of eating god or hurting officer. Now, for students who know Bazi, right, okay, you know that by counting element itself is a very elementary step, okay, for beginners. But let's say if you're practitioners, all right, you know how to get each of the elements' strength itself, right, it will be good for you to focus on the strength. It means that if the whole chart itself, the strength or the strongest element is DR and IR, or EG and HO, eating god or hurting officer, okay, that is the output structure. This is another structure that is also highly prone into depression. And the third structure will be of the influence structure, means it comprises of DO and 7K. Now, I'm going to explain to you why is it this 10 gods has a tendency to actually lead a person, okay, into depression. Okay, so the last structure will be influence, means DO and 7K. It means that if your chart comprises of the majority, either one of these combinations, either one, it means that it's not all mixed up, okay, it means one of it is exceptionally strong. It means out of the 8 boxes, right, probably you have 4 or 5 boxes also comprising the same element itself. It means that this particular chart has a higher tendency to go into depression.嗱，你翻譯咗先，早一陣我先。
OK， 咁通常咧，如果大家學過八字嘅話咧，應該都知道十神係咩㗎啦。係啦。咁我哋咧，如果係響我哋知道，到底有乜嘢十神咧係可以會令到人會有特別係有情緒或者係壓抑呢個憂鬱症嘅話咧，咁我哋就可以 check 下。咁你
偏印都係啦，偏印都係啊，滿蘇。
係，咁你就去 check 下你呢個八字入邊咧， 我哋呢個格啦，就好似頭先我有俾你睇到嘅呢啲地方咧，或者係下邊咧嗰度咧有 resource 或者就係 DR 或者係 IR、EG、HO 或者係 DO7 killing 嘅話，通常如果單一入邊佢嘅數目係好多嘅話咧，咁就代表咗呢個人可能會有呢個憂鬱症嘅傾向係比較多啲嘅。
係啦，咁如果即係 for 一啲人咧，你其實唔係好明白我哋講緊咁 technical 嘅嘢咧，其實基本上就係整個八字入邊總共有1、2、3、4、5、6、7個地方你可以睇嘅。咁7個地方，除咗個 Demas 啦。咁樣呢一度咧，你就睇翻你入邊嘅嗰個成個7個字入邊咧，有幾多個係有呢一個印星，就係你淨係睇 DRIR 係啦 ，DR IR 一個組合啦。然之後第二個咧就係你睇 EGHO， 咁呢個 EGHO 嘅意思係 output 啦。之後再睇翻 DO and 7K， 即係如果你有其中一個組合入邊咧，就有呢個 tendency of 呢一個嘅憂鬱啦。嗱，
啱啦，有好多嘅話咧，咁就有可能。
阿維倫，你會中邊一個啊？你
我未睇啊，我睇。
我自己咧我就中呢一個嘅，所以我其實我知道係有呢個傾向憂鬱嘅。
咁我 check 下我自己用。
係。OK， 咁嗱，點解係呢一個 structure？ 點解呢啲OK， 我講英文嘅嚇。Now, why is it so that because if a chart itself, right, when it comprises of mainly metal and water, mainly of resource, mainly of output, or mainly of influence, you have this problem. And of course, the last structure itself is also very important. It's actually when your chart comprises of mainly water and fire clashing. Okay, because water and fire clash also has a very high tendency to actually lead a person to depression. Not only that, but a person that has a tendency to be impulsively go to take their own life. Okay, when you have a water and fire clash. So I'm going to show you examples of like this charts itself later on. But now we need to know is like what's the logic behind all these elements itself. Now of course matter and water, right? Okay. Now when it comes to Chinese astrology, right, it's very simple. Like water represents emotion. Okay, water represents emotions, feeling of a person. Okay, it's like water. Imagine it's like water. Emotion is like something that it moves all the time. It's transformed to one place to another place, from one level to another level, from one form to another form. A lot of time, and that's water. Because water changes and moves like the fastest. So it's like when the moment when you start watching this Facebook Live up to the moment now, towards the moment when you actually end finishing watching the whole Facebook Live itself, right? Your emotions have changed throughout, and we are leading you towards your emotion. Because you see, when you watch a movie and all these things, right, your emotions goes up and down, because the whole movie is also leading you towards your emotion. That's why water relates to emotion when it comes to Chinese astrology. So when you see water now, the metal element itself is like the mother of your emotion. It means that if water is your emotion, matter is something that produces your emotion. This is like your mother of your emotion. Now imagine if your emotion is one thing and your mother of your emotion is very clear, it means that there's one mother and one emotion, there's no problem. Or one mother with a lot of emotion, there's also no problem. Means that one mother with a lot of children shouldn't be a problem. Comparatively to now your children have many mothers. Right? One of the mother asks you to go left, and the other asks you to go right, and the other asks you to go front, and the other asks you to go back. So now you have a problem. It means that now when metal produces water, when you have too much metal that keep on producing water from different aspect and different direction in your life, you become confused. Okay? Because now you have too many mother to obey to. Alright? You have to listen to. Right? Trust me, okay? When you have your own mother to listen to, it's already a headache. Now you have your mother-in-law, but not only that, imagine you have to triple or like quadruple these amounts, okay? You have like, you have like a few mother and a few mother-in-laws. Okay? That will be very tough, okay? So that is why if you put it in that manner, you can understand why a chart, if you have a lot of metal and water comprising together itself, a person tends to always have this emotional turbulence. It's always up and down. They are lost, they are unsure. One moment is like this, and the moment is the other way around. So that is why that leads to a tendency of uncontrollable emotions in a person's chart. So if you check that if yourself has a chart that's full of metal and water, or any of your loved ones have a chart that's full of metal and water, this is a first sign of a potential depression.
係啦，咁樣呢度咧有人問啦，即係 Monsu 或者 Alvin 啊，佢哋問 如果呢個憂鬱淨係1-2年之內啊，響流年睇到啊，定係即係其實係點樣睇嘅咧？咁其實我哋而家係講緊先睇翻自己整個八字先嘅。
Okay, because like she was asking that someone actually asked like do you look at the luck pillar and your annual pillar? It means that whoever who's asking that questions and you're watching this, you are very advanced student. But this particular episode itself, right? Okay, we just focus onto the natal chart. Means do you have that potential or not? Because later on, if you want to know when that potential will happen, then we need to look at the luck pillar and also the annual pillar.
Thank you, Brian, for the recap.
Yeah, because that is actually the trigger point. All right. So now the second thing is like resource. Whenever you see a lot of resource in the chart, right? Imagine that you have only 7 boxes to refer to, but you see that probably like the strongest element in your chart itself is actually DR or IR. Now, resources is also something that produces us. Okay. Now, our day master itself, later on you will learn, right? Okay. On the day here, this is what we call a day master, DM, right? And this day master itself represents your soul, your inner spirit, yourself, your psychological impact, okay, or your belief, okay. So on this day master itself is who you are. Now, when you have a lot of resources, means direct resource or indirect resource, either one around you, again, you have so many different sources to produce you. Then the chances of you getting confused is also higher. So that's why when you have a lot of resources in your chart itself, right, that is also another, another potential of depression, especially when your resource is very strong. Now, resource is the element that it counters output. Now, when it comes to Chinese astrology, right, output is the way we express ourselves, the things that we do, our desire, our imaginations, okay, that is our output. But imagine now if your whole chart, when you have full of resource, or resource is your strongest element, and resource counter and clashes with your output, it means that you have a lot of input, but no output, or very, very like little output. Imagine you are a container, okay, and in this container you have a tanki, right? A tanki where you have an input outlet and an output outlet, okay. But your input outlet is like big, huge, okay. So like all the water and all that can gush into this particular big tanki or the big tank, okay. But now your output outlet is just small, tiny little finger, okay. Now, don't you see that you have an imbalance here? It means that the potential of this person, right, digests a lot of their thoughts, their feelings. Now, this resource means a person's thoughts and their like feelings and all that. So it means that the person has a lot of thoughts and feelings to digest on, but never an outlet to express on. So when you have that, you also have what we call an issue of like depression as well. Okay.
咁我哋翻譯先太多啦，係啦。咁頭先阿 Jessie 就講緊呢一個金同埋水啦。咁水咧就係代表我哋自己嘅情緒嘅，係啦，即係有好多情緒嘅關聯係嘅。所以好似有時候我哋金水多情，即係太多，即係如果太多水或者太多事情發生嗰陣時咧，你嘅情緒係會特別波動啲嘅，即係你好艱難控制自己嘅水嘅問題嘅。
啱啦，因為如果咧，譬如話好似水啦，咁點解金同水嘅局咧多嘅人咧會特別有呢個我哋叫抑鬱症咧？係因為when我哋呢個金咧。produce 水㗎啦，
即係生水㗎啦。
咁咧佢就會太多，譬如好似頭先師傅講㗎啦，有好多個唔同嘅 mother 去教你嘅時候咧，你就會 confuse 㗎啦。Once 你 confuse 嘅時候咧，你嘅情緒波動就會大啲，咁咧都會有可能會去到呢個抑鬱症。即係你唔知道應該要做啲咩，因為太多選擇啦。係啦，太多意見啦，係啦。咁樣第二個咧就係我哋睇翻自己嘅人性啦。咁其實 resource 啦本身咧就係 produce 嘅，即係叫咩啊？生黃嚟嘅，或者係你會有好多嘢要學啊，好多諗法啊，好多嘢想做啊，你想
或者我哋嘅記憶都係 resource 㗎。
係啦，即係記憶好多 resource。咁當你太多 resource， 即係你太多嘢想 produce 嗰陣時咧，你自己都會。即係你自己都會好去
揾一啲地方去發泄嘅。
係啦，揾一啲地方。
因為點解咧 ？when 你 resource 強嘅時候咧，咁你 directly 就會 counter 我哋 clash 我哋嘅 output 㗎啦。就所謂嘅，你有好多地方會同你講，有好多意見，
好多嘢想做。
係啦，但係你就冇一個 管道俾你去講出嚟或者去發泄出嚟咧，咁可能呢個都會令到你慢慢有好多壓力同埋抑鬱住你嘅情緒嘅，咁到最尾咧你都會有呢個情緒問題㗎啦。
係啦，再加上因為人性本身咧，你太多唔同嘅諗法啦，咁當你遇到呢一個 output 嗰陣時，即係好似打個譬如頭先 Jessie 講啦，即係你有一個好大嘅蛋機嘅，即係其實入邊個蛋機入邊係好緊要多水嘅，但係其實如果淨係得一個細嘅出口。咁其實佢要留到幾耐？
同埋佢都逼唔出嚟。
係啦，佢逼唔出嚟，即係佢出唔到嚟啊！即係你會覺得自己去抑鬱埋自己，即係我講唔到出，我有好多諗法，但係我做唔到，或者係我表現唔到，所以就會有呢一個嘅抑鬱咯。
係啦，呢個情緒嘅問題。
情緒
OK， 到最尾咧，所有嘅水咧就爆炸，全部泄晒出嚟啦。
係啦，咁樣 Jessie，我哋繼續第4個
output.
Okay, output. Now, when the chart itself is full of output, it means eating God and hurting officer. There's also a tendency to actually go into depression now. Now, we see when it comes to resource, right? Resource means right now the person thinks too much into their feeling, too always with their thoughts, internal feelings. You know, they are always caught back with their memories, okay? With like all the things that they've gone through in life before. It means that these are the people who are always trapped behind time. They're always like trapped in their past. They're always trapped with the things that have happened to them before. But when it comes to output, right? Output is our creativity. Output is like our actions, our desire, our imagination. Okay. So output is the star that always go forward, always go beyond ourselves. Means that before we even reach to a certain aspect or certain area or certain place, before we even achieve a certain thing, the output actually pushes our mind to go there first. So it means that when the output is not balanced, means the whole chart itself is full of eating God, okay, and also hurting officer, and you know that eating God is also a star of perfectionism. It means that these are the people, right, okay, they always feel that, everything is not perfect yet, right? Their life is imperfect, okay? Everything is like not good enough, right? And because of this, right, okay, they pushes their mind travels too far ahead, okay? Whereas their exact self, or their physical self are not up to that. Their expectations, their imaginations, their desire are very, very high, okay? And because of this also, it will lead them to go into or create a certain void in their emotions and their life itself, and thus brings them into a state of depression.
咁樣 Jessie 就講到呢一個 output 咧 ，EG and HO 啊，咁其實有啲朋友唔係好明白 EG、HO 係咩意思，即係總結嚟講咧，其實佢呢一個星咧係比較 active 啲嘅，佢係好想去，因為佢係來自創意啊，佢好想表現啊，或者係做到一啲嘢嘅，所以佢一直想表演自己，其實都有關乎到自己嘅性格喎。即係如果一個對自己要求好緊要高，即係我做每一樣嘢，我係 make sure 自己做到係最好，即係一種表現嘅方式。咁當然，當佢自己對佢自己有要求嗰陣時咧，佢就會 push 到自己去最高嘅 limit。所以佢就好艱難 control 自己嘅一啲嘅情緒嗰方面，就會有造成呢一個抑鬱嘅呢一個嘅傾向嘅。咁而呢一個 resource 咧，佢係本身佢係同 output 係調翻轉頭嘅，佢有好多嘢係諗住係自己嘅諗法啦、以前啊或者係過去啊，佢會比較介意佢以前做過啲乜嘢啊，佢曾經啊，所以佢就會即係一直會 move backward 嘅，係啦，念念不忘啊，即係會 move backward 嘅，咁佢就會搞到自己困擾住響以前嘅情緒嗰方面。
就好似我哋揸車係永遠睇住個倒後鏡嚟揸嘅，係啦，咁就 resource 嘅問題啦。
係啦
，OK，
influence。
咁另外一個咧，英文。Okay. Then the next one will be influence. Now, influence is actually when the whole chart itself comprises mainly of DO or 7K. Now, DO and 7K, right, direct officer or 7 killings, are the stars or the elements that actually counter the day master. It means that these are the stars that actually like counters us, and that means, right, okay, that's why it represents a person's like discipline, okay, a person's attitude, like their self, their their self control, and all these things. It's all under the influence of the direct officer or the 7 killing star, means a DO or 7 killings, okay? So now imagine when you have like influence star overwhelming in your chart. It means that these are the people, right? They always feel that they cannot do this, they cannot do that. oh, my family don't expect me to do this. My mom won't be happy if I do that. My bosses won't be happy with what I'm performing. My fans won't be happy with what I'm doing now. Okay, it's like no, a lot of expectations towards self. It means that these are the people, right? Normally they like to self-punish themselves by building up a lot of rules and regulations and a lot of things that they need to follow. Okay, closely. And this is also the example of people that let's say just now we mentioned people in Japan and all that. Okay, these are the people that they will suffer most. And you see that the potential of suicidal case and all that in Japan should be quite high as well.
It's high.
Because that particular country itself is or from the country party or perspective, right? Okay, that country itself is a very DO oriented, DO 7K oriented. It means that you have in such an environment, okay, all right. It means that people will feel the pressure, all right, especially when they feel that they need to actually fulfill certain expectations. This is wrong. This is right. I shouldn't do this, even though my heart feels so, but I shouldn't do it because it is wrong. Okay, or per se. It means that's why these are the things when the influence is strong means right. Okay, people will forgo their heart desire, their true calling of their soul, in order to fulfill what other expectations from their environment.
係啦，咁講到呢個咧，我係非常之心同感受嘅。
點解？
因為咧，我係自己本身係有呢一個問題嘅，即係打個譬如，即係我本身咧係會有呢一個嘅即係所謂嘅影響星啊，即係 DO and 7K。我嘅 chart 入邊咧有3個 DO 啦，2個 7K 嘅。咁其實 DO 7K 嘅意思咧，佢星係控制翻自己嘅，或者係會影響自己，去同自己講話，我一定要比較我做乜嘢咧就一定要 discipline 㗎啦，或者係啦，我會自我執着好多㗎啦。我都係㗎。係啊，所以咧如果你有呢個問題咧，通常咧就你會有好多自己嘅聲音咯。即係打一個譬如，你本來係唔中意嗰樣嘢嘅，即係你好想同對方講，其實我係唔中意，但係你又驚啊嘛，因為你驚對方講。所以你就控制自己講，你唔好講啊，因為如果你講咧，佢會嬲㗎，即係你要係有呢一個成日係控制緊自己咯，咁搞到你自己益埋，咁樣就變成你係唔誠實咗啦，你對自己嘅感受不誠實嘅話，咁到就會有憂鬱。
DO and 7 killing sort of charts, right? Okay, it will be even more impactful in areas or in countries which is more how to say like Asians, okay, like Chinese, where we have a certain family brought up, right? They have certain expectations that we have to follow. It means that when you are younger, even though you think and you feel that the older is not right or whatever they say is not right, you shouldn't say. There are still ways that people that teach them
hierarchy.
Yeah, the hierarchy is
just like Korea, they have the Confucian's the knowledge. Confucian knowledge, they are very particular in hierarchy.
So it's like to them means when you're on the lower hierarchy or you're younger, you shouldn't express any suggestion, anything cannot speak up unless you're asked to.
So they will be suppressed.
Yeah, so you will feel very, very suppressed. So that's why influence itself, right, in countries which is very also dictatorship and other countries which is very communism and all these things, right? It will actually push them further into that particular stress. Okay, they might end up being impulsive and aggressive, and after that even suicidal.
係啦，其實講翻頭先 Jessie 講啦，即係有啲國家係會比較。咁頭先懷倫咧就揾到一啲 research 係講，我哋最高嘅即係國家邊一個嘅抑鬱症會比較高啲嘅？
第一個啦係South Korea 啦，
韓國啦，
係啦。咁第二個咧係 China， Hong Kong， then followed by Japan， 同埋第5係Thailand 嘅。係啦，
咁其實即係我有少少啲分享關於韓國咧，本身自己係非常之了解。
真係韓國
係啦。即係韓國嘅文化啦，佢其實因為我了解到佢哋嘅歷史上邊，佢哋本身係孔子呢一個教育嘅。咁其實我哋中國都係有呢個孔子嘅教育，即係講話你一定要即係前輩啊、後輩啊呢啲嘢係會即係
規嗰啲咁嘅嘢。
係啦，弟子規嘅嘢啊，即係弟子規嘅係好尊重啊。所以喺佢哋嘅呢一個嘅 society 嚟講啊，其實我哋講話個方式，即係我要 make sure 咧，佢大過我嘅咧，我就一定要用尊重啦，所以有好多時候佢哋有好多諗法，但係其實佢哋講唔出嚟，係因為呢一個嘅社會嘅問題同埋佢嘅呢一個嘅文化嘅。
係啦，其實講真啦，譬如好似個 influencer 咁，你就 imagine 咧， 你明明坐住喺嗰度嘅，但係成周圍咧有好多你嘅老師啦，或者你嘅上司啦，或者你嘅老豆啦、你警察啦，全部同你講。你阿嫲啦，係啦，你想做一啲嘢嘅時候，唔得，
你應該
唔可以咁樣，
係啦，你又應該咁嘅，
係啦，所以你有好多 rules 啦，有好多嘅 discipline 你要去負責。但係因為點解咧？因為如果你嘅本身八字入邊有咁樣嘅 chart 嘅意思，
你就會點自己啦，
就係嗰啲警察啦、阿爸啦、阿媽嚟控制你自己㗎啦。所以意思話好多時候你想做一啲嘢，你都做唔到啊，俾自己綁住咗啊，所以你又唔可以去做啊，所以就會慢慢屈住就有呢個情緒病。
So of course again, if you see that if you have any of this configuration paired with self-punishment, it makes the whole situation of course like even worse. Means it adds on the impact of like getting into depression. Now self-punishment, for those who have students, you know there are altogether 4 different types of self-punishment. All right, of course you have the double dragon, you have the double rooster, double horse, and also double pig. It means in your chart, if you see that there are 2 pigs, 2 dragons, 2 roosters, or 2 horses that appears together in this pillars itself, you have a tendency of what we call a self-punishment. Now, self-punishment, of course, has also a tendency to get into a depression because, like the name already suggested, you like to self-punish yourself. All right. Not only depression, these are the people that go into depression and they have also the tendency to self-inflict harm to themselves. It means they will cut themselves, they will torture themselves, they will be like drug abusive and all these things in order to get themselves out. Okay. Okay. Alright, okay, so of course if you have like, if you see any of these animal signs appears double in your chart, it also heightens the impact of like whatever structures that you have here. And of course besides all these things, okay, now there's also another structures that is called a water fire clash.
即係金同埋呢一個唔係金，即係火水水火相衝啊。
Yeah, so imagine in your chart itself, right? Okay, either your day master is water or fire, and you have a lot of water and fire appearing in your chart. Okay, so when you have this like water fire becomes prominent in your chart itself, you also has a tendency, not only depression itself, because normally now water fire clashes chart itself, right? It means a person's like, they're very aggressive, they're impulsive, 衝動. Okay, these are the people, they are very impatient. They have like temperament issues. It means that these are the people, they have like,
I have that.
Yeah, okay, it means that they have like 情緒問題啦. They are like very temperamental, they get angry very easily. It's like impulsive thoughts and actions, okay, and emotions that is like, going ups and down. Now just imagine, earlier on we mentioned that water represents emotion in our chart, okay? So water, right, okay, now you have water and fire boiling your water. Imagine like water itself supposed to be calm, your emotions are calm, but now your emotions cannot stay calm, it's always like boiling water, okay? So that's why when your chart itself got fire and water configurations really strong, means that this person has a tendency to have a very aggressive or impulsive sort of like thoughts and behavior, or in fact what we call 暴躁性, okay, means like they are very aggressive people as well. So you see, when they're aggressive means water and fire together has a higher tendency that these other people on a split second they will thought of ending their life to make or to come up with a ending or a conclusion of things. It means that they are very impulsively thinking that, okay, in order for me to get out of all this nonsense, I'll just die.
比較衝動啲。
Yes, okay, so because of that also it is very important for us to remind ourselves, if you see that in your chart itself you do have a configurations of like metal and water, these are the things that you have to remind yourself. Let me see first, okay, any example that I have here.
係啦，咁即係阿 Jessie 睇緊呢個 example 咧，我哋就講呢一個火同水相衝啊！即係你幻想下自己，即係本身水係一個靜態嘅嘢嚟嘅。咁忽然之間，你呢一個你滾緊呢個水嗰陣時咧，佢滾嗰陣時咧，佢就會爆發出嚟嘅。咁我哋就講緊咧，即係當你呢一個情緒啊，佢係可以忽然之間爆發到咧，甚至乎係想用呢一個嘅死亡嚟代替嚟解決佢自己嘅呢一個嘅情緒嘅。咁樣我哋而家就睇翻。邊一種嘅即係邊一個嘅 example 或者係一啲 celebrity 咧係會有呢一個嘅有呢一個嘅問題嘅。
譬如好似呢個啦，第一個啦，咁你就會睇到佢嘅八字入邊咧會有好多火同水嘅嗰啲 嘅 elements 嘅。
火就係紅色啦，水咧就係藍色，所以好容易睇嘅。
咁呢個
睇下邊個嘅八字嚟嘅，你先同我哋講係邊一個啦？你幫我睇下先。OK，
呢個係張國榮。
OK，呢個係張國榮。OK，those of you who are familiar with like this Hong Kong artist, Leslie Cheung. Alright, Leslie Cheung actually committed suicide by, if I'm not mistaken, he jumped down Marriott Hotel or something like that. Okay, in Hong Kong. Okay, yeah, Mandarin Oriental, yeah, Mandarin Oriental. So if you actually look at this chart itself, right, you will see that Leslie himself, right, okay, is a strong water, because he's also a metal water strong structure. Means he's a water element born in autumn. And the metal element in his chart is actually very strong, producing his water itself. So that one goes in the structure of metal water. And then in his chart, he actually, if you see all the red color here, the red color are all fire element. Okay, so when you have like water and fire clashes in the chart itself, and then comes a year, either it's a 7 killing year or again water and fire years itself, right, it will trigger the person to even further have the impulsive, feelings or need to actually end their life.
即係佢有呢個衝動嘅。
Anyone remember which is the year that Leslie actually committed suicide?
2003, right?
Is it 2003?
So.
Oh, is it 2003? Correct. If it's 2003 means it's a 癸巳 year. It's a water year.
Yeah.
It's a water fire year. So like these are the years that normally when you see water and fire coming in again. Plus, if it's like 2003 is a 癸巳 year, means like the 7 kili is very strong in the snake itself. So that is a year that the sudden impulse itself that they will think like just commit suicide.
係啦，咁就講翻呢個張國榮本身咧，佢其實入邊嘅 chart 入邊咧，佢其實除咗好多火，佢本身入邊係有金嘅，所以金生水啊，所以金水多情，所以當呢一個如果佢係2003年過身咧，係啦，即係如果2003年過身，即係佢嗰一年係水多嘅，係咪啊？
係水火咯，
即係水火，係啦，即係水火啊！咁所以通常咧，當佢哋有呢個抑鬱嘅情緒咧，佢好多時候佢解決嘅問題咧，亦都係想，即係佢想好衝動咁樣想尋短見，係啦，即係自尋短見啦，即係會用自殺呢一個方式嚟了斷咗佢呢一個好憂鬱嘅，因為其實有時候咧，有啲憂鬱咧，其實佢哋唔知點樣解決佢呢一個嘅情緒啊。
Yeah, okay, and I just saw a comment here by May Money, is it? Right, she said that I got double rooster and I really did cut myself before and depressed a lot. Wow, it's really, we are really thankful that May you openly share it out because it's very important because now you are embracing it. Because the first thing to overcome depression and not fall into the trap of it is always about like not facing it, like addressing it and like not afraid of it. Okay, so that now that you don't allow these things to happen to yourself anymore. So that's actually a very important thing as well. And of course here also we have another chart which is Kate Spade. Like if you see that last week itself, right, we had heard the news that Kate Spade actually committed suicide, okay? And you look at the chart itself, right, you also see that the chart is a very emotional chart full of like water, born in like winter month itself, water is very strong. We don't have the hour, you see like water is very strong and she herself is actually a fire element. The thing is, those of you who know Bazi, right, look at the luck pillar that she's currently going through now. She just entered into this new luck pillar last year, which is a Peng Wu luck pillar. It means that this luck pillar itself is pure fire luck pillar, alright? And therefore, suddenly in this particular luck pillar itself, right, okay, it actually enhances that like water and fire clashing in her chart. That is also the trigger of why like possibilities of her, okay, alright, due to probably she always have this depression stage or like, you know, emotional, probably are not very happy and all that, but suddenly because the fire overwhelmingly come in and activated the clash, she has that impulse of like taken away her life. Okay, so these are the things that we really want to look into. So if you find that yourself or your children's or any one of your loved ones has similar configurations of the chart itself, it will be very important for us to actually take note. Okay, and remember, of course, later on we will see that, okay, all those structures itself, we will see that, okay, what actually triggered their depression. I'm not sure whether we can cover all this, okay, for today, alright, because I still have another part as in to see, yes, now is to identify whether you have depression or not. Because the later part of this particular Facebook Live information is, what actually triggered that depression? What is the thing? Is it your childhood thing? Is it from your parents? Is it from your partners? Is it from your friends? Is it the society issues? All right. So that is also one of the ways that things that I want to share with you. So I will share with you all the charts example here first, and probably we need to set another date with Ryan and Hui to do a Facebook session on a second session for this particular topic itself. Okay, it will be good also for you to actually plot out all your friends and family charts, so that when we come back for a second topic itself, right, you will at least know how to see what is the cause and trigger of their particular issues and how to overcome it.
係啦，咁樣 Jessie 頭先就講咧，頭先我哋睇即係我哋教你睇嘅，除咗睇翻自己嘅八字入邊，你有冇呢一個即係呢一個嘅金水問題啊，或者係水火問題啊，咁就會有呢個 tendency。咁其實咧，除咗我哋睇翻呢一個有呢個機會性有呢一個嘅憂鬱症啊，即係我哋睇翻呢一個係。呢一個係
Anthony Bourdain
係啦，呢個 Anthony Bourdain 即係啱。
Yeah, this is also the chart of Anthony Bourdain. If you look at the chart itself, I'm looking at the screen. Thanks, Raylun. So you look at the Anthony Bourdain's chart, right? Okay, you can also see that Anthony Bourdain is actually a Kui Hai, means a strong water pillar born in summer month. Okay, born in summer month itself. It means that in this chart also he has that what we call a a water fire clash. Okay, and this year itself, Anthony Bourdain goes through a pure pillar of what we call Wuxi, right? Okay, Wuxi is actually this year where the influence time is the 7 killing and the DO come in. Okay, so the direct officer and 7 killings come in. That is a star that harms yourself. Okay, remember the structure just now. Okay, we are always afraid of the resource output and also the influence chart.
係啦，咁其實講翻呢一個咧，因為本身佢嘅呢一個嘅 output 係好重嘅，即係佢好想表達，但係因為佢呢個印星佢入嚟咗啦，就佢 suppress 咗自己嘅呢一個情緒，所以佢就發泄唔到佢自己，即係冇地方俾佢呢一個嘅 output 啊，表現或者係發泄出嚟嘅，所以佢就會有呢個 tendency of 呢一個憂鬱症啦。
Okay, and of course currently he's also going through a metal water pillar. It means that it enhances all the water. Okay, with the fire itself, it triggers that particular clash. Okay, yeah. Okay, so those are the examples of what we call a water fire clash. Okay, let's see what other examples that I have now. Let's say, for example, for this particular chart itself is example of like a lot of DO and 7 killings. Okay, so if you look at Robin Williams, you look at Robin Williams' chart itself, right? His chart got a lot of like earth element. You see out of the 8 elements, right? You see there are 3 boxes which is yellow color, and the 3 boxes which is yellow color is earth, which is the influence or DO and 7 killing in this chart. So now, if you see from the chart itself, right? Okay, he is also the type of person that actually puts a lot of like rules and regulations, a lot of like perfectionism in terms of himself. It needs to be like, oh, I need to be like this, I need to be able to perform like this. Okay? His expectations and all that is like very high. So whenever a person that feels that, okay, when he has like so strong discipline and so strong 7 killings itself, whenever they feel that they are unable to perform or unable to produce as much of like results anymore, they will feel that they are useless.
因為佢自己對自己係要求非常之重啊，尤其是佢又會俾自己好多呢個牽制啦，即係佢好多控制自己嘅，所以佢就會比較
Can you see that for him, right? He has a lot of expectations and also output. Can you see the green color? Green color is all the output of the hurting officer. Remember, just now we talked about eating God or hurting officer means that his desire, his ambitions, his perfection into certain things, together with the 7 killings and the DO, which all the yellow color is, means that he pushes himself to the highest level all the time. So whenever there are times, you see, we are still human, There are times that we will find that, our body and all that probably come to a level that we might need a rest. Our body might not be able to function as well as it is able to function as before. And that is the point where they couldn't take it. They will find that they are useless.
No
value, and they will feel that it is better for them to actually just end off at that moment instead of letting people see how burdensome they can be, how useless they can be. So that is actually one of the dangerous trigger point as well. Okay, so and of course for this one is the resource. Now this one, there's a lot of like sample here which I don't think I have the time to actually show all the sample. I will just show you all the prominent ones.
Okay.
Who is that you're showing now?
Christine.
Okay. Christine Chubak or something like that. Okay, now Christine Chubak is actually I googled actually for famous celebrities who actually like subdued to depression and committed suicide. Christine actually, if you Google her, right, she's a TV media news reporter. She's the first person, okay, that actually committed suicide while going live on TV. Okay, she's a news reporter. When she actually finished her program and finishes, she actually added a few lines that let everyone who's watching the program, there are thousands of people watching the program and watching how she actually shot herself in the head. Okay, and you can see from her chart itself, right? Her chart is full of metal. Okay, you can see the metal element is actually very strong. So okay, yeah, you can see that metal is very strong, and her structure, besides metal, is also the Eating God structure, means the water on top. Now, those of you who know Bazi, you will know that the structure is determined by looking at the season and whatever protruding on the month itself. So you know that this structure is an Eating God structure. So Eating God structure, we already say that these are perfectionism. Okay, these are a lot of desire, a lot of imaginations. All right, she needs to be able to perform. Okay, so because of this also, right? Okay, in her chart itself, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think she died somewhere during her 36 years old pillar. It means that she goes through a Wu Chen, not pillar, where she goes through a resource pillar. It means that when her self is so strong already, she goes through resource means, right, she becomes more further lost. Okay, the resource means the thinking, the mentality, her thoughts, okay, her inner feelings and emotions suddenly becomes lost, and that's when she decided to calmly finishes her show and announce to everyone that's watching her live, and she took her life away, okay, in front of the viewers. Okay, so that is actually Christine. All right, and then 呢個唔需要你好多集。
好啦，咁其實
this one is also one of the famous example. Angelina Jolie. Okay, now Angelina Jolie, I will take back all this example, okay, again on our next session to tell you, okay, all these celebrities or famous people are already known to have depression. But the thing is, what triggered them? Okay, what is the cause of the depression from the chart we are able to see as well? But I really don't think we have the time to cover that this week. We will come back next week to actually share about that. And from Angelina Jolie's, you can also see that she's a sin matter born in the snake month. You can see all the red color, right? Okay,
so it's the metal and fire.
Yeah, it's the metal and fire. Those the snake month itself, right? Okay, you see, snake month is summer month. Summer, besides fire, is the strongest. Earth is also at its strongest, and you see that all the red color here, besides representing fire, it also represents earth. It means that her chart majority are resource and also direct officer. It means again direct officer and resource means that, you know, her resource means her thinking, her mentality. So a lot of people might feel that, you know, the way of her thoughts, okay, how the past has influenced her and all these things, right, will strongly affect her feelings. Okay, so she has a resource issue, a lot of input, lacking of output. So most probably, right, okay, she will be the type of person that thinks a lot. You know that every moment there's something going on in her mind, but it is really lacking of, like, you know, expression.
Dio is also very strong as well.
Yeah, Dio is also very strong. That's why her chances, if you look at the chart like this, right, Angelina Jolie's chances of self-inflicting harm to herself is also very high. All right, for that one, we really need to Google about her past and all these things. So, like, you know, chances when you see like this in the West countries, like people who are like the drug abusive, alcoholic, or like, you know, self-inflict like pain to herself, okay, as in like self-cut herself or self-harm herself, the chances will be also very high in that sense. Okay.
係啦，咁樣同翻頭先Jessie 就講翻啦，即係我哋再 recap 翻頭先如果你係有好多呢一個嘅人性多啦 ，resource 多即係 RRDR 啦，或者係呢一個嘅 output 比較多啦，即係你嘅 HO 同埋 EG 啦，係啦，同埋呢一個嘅influence 啦，即係你所謂嘅叫影響，即係影響你嘅人性啦、
思想啦、
DO 同埋 7 killing 啦，或者係水火相沖啦，或者係呢一個金同埋火喺埋一齊。咁其實金水唔好意思，金水多情，即係金水嘅問題。咁其實我哋講翻咧，即係其實呢度 即係來來回回頭先我哋俾翻你睇呢啲 example 咧，其實佢係一個 combinations of 每一個組合嘅。咁其實打個譬如，即係呢一個組合係佢諗得太多啦。咁頭先 Jessie 都有講啦，好多時候憂鬱係來自兩個情況嘅啫，一就係會令自己更加驚恐懼，一咧就係好開心嘅。所以如果好似你諗得太多，咁你就會牽涉到自己會越嚟越呢一個嘅負面啊、驚啊，又或者係再加埋自己本身俾自己嘅 discipline 係好跟住重嘅，即係控制自己嘅，又或者你其實好想表現，但係你又壓抑自己嘅，咁其實呢啲情緒係好矛盾嘅，係非常之矛盾嘅，即係你又想表現啦，但係你又驚啦，但係你又所以會製造好多呢啲不必要的恐懼對自己啦。其實講到呢度咧，即係 before 我哋 end 呢個 sessions 咧，或者我哋可以分享翻咧，即係其實雖然知道咗佢哋應該要做啲乜嘢，令到佢即係應該要 away from 呢啲咁樣嘅問題。
Yeah. And of course now this session, right, we are only able to cover as like how to identify a potential of depression in your chart. But the thing is, we have not gone into the detail as in like, what actually trigger this potential depression. Because we also need to know, okay, certain charts now, probably now you will see that, your chart has a tendency to go into depression. And to be very honest, my chart has the highest level of going to depression. And to be honest with you, when I go through the downside of my life itself, right, I've also tried and thought of, not only think of, but I actually have done before, like ways to actually figure out ways to actually take away my own life. But I'm too scared啦，死唔去。Okay？
所以我哋其實三個咧都有呢一個同埋 Seven Killings。係啊。
And to be honest also because it's like nowadays I think that a lot, okay, because of the society, environment and all these things, right, okay, a lot of people are also suffering, okay, either openly that people know or they are suffering in silence, okay. They have all these issues and all these things. And for my chart itself, right, I do have a self-punishment, right? I do have a self-punishment. So I am actually the type of person who is like stubbornly hold on to a certain things, 好執着嘅, okay? When I need to achieve certain things and all that, I used to be, right, really stubborn onto like, holding on to that particular thing. And at the end of the day, right, okay, you will know that this particular thing itself will only make us worse, okay, and will only take away our happiness, okay. So that is why I mean the whole purpose of this particular sessions or sharings itself, right? Because I think this topic is really very important. I mean to me, and of course also I mean to my children, because they are also like lately they are starting to learn Bazi to understand more about themselves and all these things, right? For our younger generations and my children as well, right? It's also very important for them to know first, because I always believe that awareness is the first step of liberation. It's like if you want to change, if you want to get yourself up to another level or a higher level, okay, the first thing is you must aware, okay, of what is it that is causing you to stay or to stuck into where you are now.
係啦，就好似師傅頭先講㗎啦，好早之前啦，我哋就先做個 recap 啦。咁如果你真係愛去面對呢個抑鬱症嘅話咧，有幾樣嘢你要做嘅。第一個咧就係 realization， 就係你要去明白到底佢係乜嘢原因嘅，佢係咩地方發生嘅，來自咩地方嘅。咁第二個咧就係我哋要accept 佢，就係我哋要去接受佢啦。然之後我哋係接受咗之後，我哋唔好去 judge 佢。OK， 你唔可以去 judge 佢話我去批評佢啊，或者係我去審判佢啊，你咁樣做係唔啱㗎，咁樣做係唔得㗎。So 第四個咧就係 forgive yourself， 就係你要原諒你自己，同埋原諒嗰啲令到你受傷害嘅人嘅。OK， 到最尾咧就係我哋要去expansion to focus， 就係你去 focus 啲乜嘢地方。去修補佢，或者係你愛點樣去處理佢嘅。咁呢個咧就係5個地方咧，我哋愛去做嘅，而令到我哋嘅呢個情緒可以更加嘅流通，同埋行向呢個愛嘅地方啦。
係啦。
OK。
其實自己即係我自己，我頭先即係之前有同過阿懷倫同埋 Jessie share 咧，即係我後生嗰陣時咧，即係曾經去咗一間好大嘅公司做啊，哇！即係嗰陣時嘅即係好風光啊，話即係好多人好中意我咁樣。就係因為咧，就作咗一個決定啦，即係當初嗰陣時又同男朋友分手啦，然之後又換工啦，即係
阿可以仲係單身㗎，邊個係想有女朋友咁可以聯絡下邊呢個電話。
我哋由年頭收到年尾，
係喎，就你要收到年尾，
係啊， 仲要做半年去收。
Brian 打電話，寫下電話。
係啦，咁之後再加埋嗰陣時咧，即係自己嘅 financial 咧都有啲問題啦。咁講真，我嗰陣時因為我都有 DO 同埋 7K 嘅問題，再加埋我自己本身係丙火，有好多水嘅，係啦，有好多水又重，即係水火相沖啊，所以搞成即係咁啱嗰一年咧，我係入緊呢一個印星嘅，即係我從來冇呢個印星嘅，即係我不嬲都係好想 output 噶嘛，你無端端要 suppress 我即係唔知點算，所以搞到其實嗰一年咧我都會諗過，即係我睇到把刀我都好想即係想自殺，但係雖然我都冇做，我都驚死嘅，係啦。
which is 好彩，
係啊係啊，
即係。當時下咧，你真係 really understand like at the moment where you feel that everything is hopeless, right?
係啦，生無可戀。
Yeah, you really have that intentions of like clinging towards the dark side, and you really think that like being dead will actually help you to solve everything.
係啦，
咁 after overcoming it, now that you really realize that it's like oh my god, how thankful am I that I didn't end my life? 我有一個人唔會坐喺度做 live。係啦，
但係其實最緊要嘅咧，其實我哋除咗講呢個之後咧，其實如果你發現咗你自己有個朋友咧，你應該要作有咩角色去即係幫佢，因為其實當其時咧，我係同人哋好多人分享我嘅問題，其實我係有啲mentor 啊，即係會真係叫我出嚟傾偈嘅，佢會一直會同我講，同埋最緊要就係我同我老豆講，老豆我做得唔好開心，我想辭職。我老豆就講：咪辭職啦，唔開心咪唔做啦，唔好理佢咁樣。就係可能因為有呢一個嘅佢哋有呢一個嘅鼓勵啊，所以搞到即係自己都會覺得係咯。因為有時候 depression 嘅人係要揾人 support 佢嘅嘢。
啱啦，所以如果睇緊我哋 live 嘅朋友咧，如果你自己本身真係有啲情緒嘅一啲問題，或者你覺得最近好似有啲唔順利啊，咁你可以咧嚟揾你嘅朋友去傾一傾嘅，或者你屋企人去同佢坦白去講呢個感受嘅，因為咧其實抑鬱症嘅朋友咧，係最大嘅問題就係佢驚人哋點樣睇佢啦，佢好多時候唔想分享啦，同埋係覺得我要表現得最好俾我嘅屋企人或者我朋友睇嘅，所以我唔想俾人哋睇到我啲咁醜陋啊、咁無能啊、冇用嘅一面嘅。咁其實咧講真嘅，我哋每個人都有問題嘅，咁冇人咧會睇唔起你，同埋會笑你嘅。咁最緊要咧你自己本身一定要去爬出嚟啦。咁講到呢個我哋所謂嘅黑暗嘅一面咧，咁我就唔可以唔推一推師傅呢個 deck 啦。點解咧？因為我一直覺得師傅呢個 deck 咧，尤其係我幫佢寫嘅時候咧，我真係寫到要生要死。點解？佢入邊真係令到我trigger 或者係去面對好多我內心一啲好黑暗嘅嗰個世界啦。咁我哋呢個禮拜六早晨係嘛
星期六10點
係啦。咁我哋咧，如果你買咗呢個Oracle Deck 嘅話咧，咁我哋會有一個 close Facebook Live 去教大家點樣去做嘅。咁如果你仲未買嘅話咧，咁你就快啲去買㗎啦。OK， 咁師傅自己講一下啦。
Again, thanks to Wailun and also of course thanks to our Mr. Director. Okay, that know exactly when to bring out and sell what products. Thank you so much. Okay, because of the Awakened Oracle itself, right? Okay, it's Oracle cards that of course we have created, and Wailun actually write. Okay, all the Chinese writings in the books itself is actually written by him, and he himself find that it is a very useful tool itself to look into our inner self, to see what are the things that we are facing emotionally now in order for us to overcome and to break free from it. So those of you who have gotten this deck, alright, previously or just currently, remember we have actually opened up a Facebook closed group, which I've already shared on my Facebook page itself. If you have gotten this deck, please request to enter this closed group itself, because this Saturday at 10 in the morning itself, we will be doing a Facebook Live in that particular closed group to share with you how to use the deck and go through with you each and individual meaning of the cards itself. Alright, so those of you who have not gotten this deck and you think that you would like to join us, you want to get it, right, please contact us. I'm sure very soon someone will actually share the contact
Tracy.
Yeah,
Brian do you can share
yeah, okay, and try to contact Tracy and then get the deck, and then we will actually add you into the group as well, so they can join us to learn how to use the deck.
係啦，to answer Moon 嘅 questions 咧，呢個咧係雙語版嘅，所以佢有中文同埋英文喺入邊嘅。咁同時咧，佢入邊咧都會有一個我哋叫水晶啦。咁如果你睇到咧，會係入邊係咁樣嘅。 呢個就係嗰個嘅 instruction book 啦，所以佢會有中文同埋英文嘅，OK 中英文 ，OK 同時咧。去咧入邊會有一粒水晶啦，咁你買嘅時候係唔會知道自己會抽到啲咩水晶嘅，因為入邊有總共6種唔同嘅，咁就睇你自己同乜嘢水晶係 connect 到㗎啦。咁呢啲咧就係個 card 啦，好靚㗎，你喺師傅仲係啦，
最緊要咧要介紹一下咧，其實
係啦，燙金
啊，咁其實除此之外咧，除咗阿懷倫啊咁精心咁樣去寫，其實佢呢一個畫咧都係佢個妹畫嘅，係啦，要講下你個妹。
所以如果你未買嘅話咧，快啲去聯絡 Tracy 啦。咁我哋拜6、10點咧就會有一個 tutorial to teach 我哋買咗嘅朋友咧點樣去用呢個 deck 同埋每一張卡入邊嘅 meanings 係咩嘢㗎啦。
Okay. All right. So thank you so much everyone for staying with us tonight. I know that we have actually gone like from the intention of doing Facebook Live of half an hour Facebook Live become 1 hour and from 1 hour become 1.5 hours. Okay.
遲啲就2粒鐘㗎啦。
But all this is also like thanks to all of you because like, every week itself, I mean every time that we go on live, we can see that the numbers keeps going higher and higher, and that really means a lot. And we will keep on thinking about what are the topics that will be beneficial for everyone. So thank you so much for staying with us, and remember to tune in next week as well for the second session of the topic depression. So take it that this week itself, all of you have known how to check out whether your child has a potential to go through depression or not. Identify it, remember, embrace it. Okay. Right, okay, don't deny it. It is okay, right? Don't feel shameful about it. Don't feel guilty about it, all right? It is okay to be vulnerable if you want to heal from it. Okay, so next week when we come back, I'm going to tell you and share with you, right, from your chart, from a psychological point of view, okay, what has actually caused your tendency to go into depression, right? What aspect of your life, okay? Right, it can be childhood, it can be your teenage life, it can be your early adulthood, that something has triggered you to go into a potential of depression, maybe without you even realizing it. So stay tuned with us next week, and please, all right, like my Facebook page. Remember to turn on the notifications because sometimes we will just pop up on Facebook Live without notifying everyone. So make sure you don't miss out by turning on your notifications, and if possible, please share it, this video itself, so that it can actually reach out and help more people. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you. Bye.